Okay, welcome to our Reimagining Retirement member preview. I'm Roger Baldwin, Professor Emeritus at Michigan State and AROHE President currently. This webinar series is a new type of venture for AROHE as we seek to support our member organizations by offering programs for individual retirees and pre-retirees to complement the wonderful programs our member organizations are already offering. At any point in time in life, we're faced with changes and transitions. While there's guidance and support for many life transitions, such as choosing and graduating from a college, starting a career, getting married, and having children, fewer resources are available for those of us navigating transitions later in life, especially when it involves changes in relationships, purpose and meaning, and feelings of relevance that we once derived from work. This series is intended to address concerns such as these. And now I will introduce Sue Barnes, the Executive Director of AROHE, who will give a preview of the program and answer your questions.
Thank you, Roger.
You're welcome.
And before I go into the program, I would like to take a moment to recognize and thank Fidelity Investments for their financial support of this program. We couldn't have done it without Fidelity's support. And I would like to welcome Whitney Ross. Whitney is the Thought Leadership and Industry Events Lead for Mission-Driven Organizations. And she has been our Fidelity liaison for this program. So Whitney, thank you so much for being such a wonderful partner in this planning process.
Of course. Thank you for having me, Sue, and thank you all for joining today. As Sue said, I do work for Fidelity Investments, and my real role is to ensure that our individuals have tools and resources able to fully prepare for retirement. I'm very fortunate to be aligned within the higher ed institutions, which is what my heartbeat is. So really excited to be with AROHE today. You may be asking, based on what Roger said and what Fidelity does, why are we partnering? What we see in our data analytics is that most of those that work at universities are financially ready to retire. But we understand there's more to that than just the financial aspect. There's the social, emotional, psychological aspects that you have to work through to get to that decision. So in this partnership, we're really excited to work alongside AROHE to bring the resources to you, your colleagues, friends, universities, to help navigate the decision points that you have to work through and decide on to get to that point of retirement. We're always here to help with the financial side of it, but we do know that this is not really a webinar on the finances, but we'll give you the resources if you're interested in those. So thank you for partnering, Sue, and excited for the next few months.
Great. Thank you so much, Whitney. So as Roger said, I am going to be previewing what this series is. And then I also will be talking about our plans for publicizing and how you can help and partner with us to publicize the program to your constituencies. So I'm going to be sharing my screen here. I have a few slides that I will be sharing with you. Looks like I'm going to need to go back on some slides here. Hold on just a second. We were previewing here during our warm-up, and I forgot to go back to the beginning. So this series of webinars was actually the brainchild of Carrie Sweeney. She's an AROHE board member and director of the UC Berkeley Retirement Center. Unfortunately, Carrie can't be here today. She had to fly back east unexpectedly for a family matter. So I'm going to give you the overview of the program and answer your questions. First, I'm going to review the series, which is a 3-part series. I'm going to talk about each of the sessions and give you just a quick overview of those. And then I'll take a pause for questions. And then we will be talking about publicizing the program and then finally answering any additional questions or comments that you have. I want to also thank Joyce Tenney, who is a retiree from the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and an AROHE volunteer who is providing our tech support for this event and will relay the questions to me. So please put questions in the chat if you could. We have a few too many people on this meeting to do it another way. So if you could put your questions in the chat, that would be really helpful. So before I go into the series, I do want to take a moment to thank our focus group. Carrie convened this focus group of diverse AROHE member organizations to help shape this initiative. Representatives from these institutions brainstormed ideas, reviewed materials as we developed them, and contributed a wealth of advice. So thank you to the institutions that have assisted us with this planning. So, Reimagining Retirement, Exploring Your Life Plan, as I said, is a 3-part webinar series, will be held on January 30th, February 13th, and February 27th. The overall description is that this series will explore the social, psychological, and emotional aspects of transitioning to and living in retirement. The series is geared toward faculty and staff in higher education who are either contemplating retirement or who are already retired, and is designed to help attendees clarify their goals and understand the changes that occur during next life's chapter. There is no charge to attend and everyone's welcome. We've had several questions about whether someone needs to be an AROHE member. They do not. Everyone will be welcome to register, and all sessions will be at 10 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Mountain, 12 Central, and 1 p.m. Eastern. So let's take a look at the first session, Reimagining Retirement, Exploring Your Life Plan. Session 1 will be about reframing your identity, and we will be welcoming Dr. Michelle Panner-Silver from the University of Toronto, who will be speaking on the topic of living your best life, habits of highly effective retired people. Dr. Panner couldn't be with us today, but she sent a brief video to overview her presentation. So I'm going to be playing that now. Joyce, will you let me know if you can hear the sound? I think I set it up, but I want to make sure. If not, I'll stop sharing my screen and start it again.
Hi, I'm Michelle Silver. Retirement planning is complex, but it can be especially challenging for those working in higher education. For some of us, the acculturation required to become a faculty or staff at an academic institution leaves little time to think about or develop outside interests. I want to share with you some strategies based on work I've done with people who've experienced a phenomena that you might be familiar with, which is the experience of having a work identity and personal identity that are deeply intertwined. In my talk, I want to acknowledge that life transitions are complex, particularly for those who work in greedy institutions like higher education, which demand excellence and full commitment. I want to spend some time talking about the habits of highly effective retired people based on interviews that I've done to understand the social meaning of retirement. And I'll share some strategies for navigating life transitions, like financial planning. And you won't be surprised to hear the key takeaway that financial planning needs to start early and be revisited often. I'll also talk about decluttering, not just your house, but all aspects of your life. And then I'll talk about practice and how it's not just something we need to do as kids. Practicing is something we must do to develop skills and habits at any point in life. And finally, I'll talk about staying active and not just physically. In many ways, much of society is being governed by anachronistic norms and ageist assumptions. I want to remind you that in adulthood, your chronological age is not really telling of much beyond when your next birthday is going to occur. Aging today is different from the past, and there's lots of ways to live out your best life.
Okay, so that is session 1, and we're thrilled that Dr. Panner will be joining us for that. Session 2 is going to be facilitated by Stacy Gordon from New York University. Stacy is the program director of Nestbay's Adult Caregiving and Retirement for the Work-Life Office at New York University. In her role, she relies upon her expertise in social work and gerontology to provide university-wide programming, thought leadership, and personalized consultations with faculty and administrators on adult caregiving, aging, and retirement planning. She also developed and directs the NYU Society of Retired Faculty. And in her session, she will be focusing on goal setting. And after a long career of academic and workplace achievement, retirement does present a unique opportunity to create a different sort of legacy. Retirees can examine next phase opportunities, define goals, and make plans through a value-driven lens. Much of this can be achieved by drawing on existing social networks and developing new social connections and collaborations to support one's goals. Ageism, unfortunately, can interfere with undertaking this type of goal setting, which was also a topic that Dr. Silver mentioned that she will be addressing. Dr. Gordon will also pay attention to this issue, developing awareness of and avoiding ageist tropes. Our third session will be a panel, and we don't have the panelists confirmed yet, so that's why we have image placeholders in this image. But our panelists will be talking about the strategies that they have used. This panel session will be moderated by Dr. Gordon again, and the panelists will share their experience with adjusting to retirement and offer advice for rebuilding their networks, developing new social connections, and identifying the resources that they have used to find purpose in their next chapter. So I'm going to pause right there, Joyce, and see if anybody has put questions into the chat.
So far, we are good.
Okay. Let's change gears here then, and we'll talk about publicizing the program. So we are going to be relying on you as our member organizations to help us to publicize the program to your retirees. And this, I think, will be a win-win for both you and for AROHE, in that it is a program that you'll be able to offer to bring value to your constituency. And also, I'm hoping it can help, especially for our smaller organizations, to give you more recognition on your campuses of the importance of your retirees and of your organization. For those of you who don't have retirement organizations, again, it hopefully will help to build some momentum on your campus to start to engage retirees and possibly form a retirement organization to formalize that engagement. So we are going to be sending out templates and images that you can use. And one of the things we'll be sending is a 50-word limit announcement. So we have a few different options. We have this very short announcement because we do know that possibly some of the publications that you will be sending announcements to will have a word limit. 50 is a word limit that we've heard of from some of our organizations. So what we suggest is that you start with the name of your retirement organization in an announcement, because it gives AROHE some credibility and some recognition within your campus or university. So, for example, this would say the Winona State Retiree Center encourages retirees and those contemplating retirement to register for Reimagining Retirement, and so on and so forth. The dates and the fact that it's hosted by AROHE and Fidelity, and then we ask that you include the link to register. We also will be sending a 100-word limit announcement because some folks have told us, well, we can do more than 50, but we're limited to 100. So that announcement will be just a little bit longer version than this one. It will include the titles of the 3 sessions and the speaker names. Other than that, the announcement's very similar to this one. And then we also will have a very detailed announcement that's more like a press release. It will include more detailed series information, quotes from both AROHE and Fidelity, and short blurbs about AROHE and Fidelity. Using that template, you can pull sections of it, revise sections of it, and you can revise any of these announcements to make more sense for your campus. We're just providing the templates to make it easier for you to send out your publicity. One thing I will mention that for some of our organizations, and we know this, especially our smaller retirement organizations, it's easy for you to reach your members. Sometimes it's easy for you to reach all retirees. It's sometimes more difficult for you to reach pre-retirees on your campus. So We're hoping that this will be an opportunity for you to make some connections with your human resources department and or the communications organization on your campus to get the word out to current faculty and staff, as well as to retirees. We know that not everyone's going to be able to do this. On some campuses, there's a lot of limitations on what goes out to current faculty and staff, but we hope that you will be able to explore the opportunities and maybe make a connection to make this happen if you haven't been able to do that in the past. We also will be sending images, both for the overall program and for each individual session. And this is an example of what those images will look like. We're waiting for a few minor tweaks that are going to be made. Fidelity graciously has offered to provide all these images for us. We've asked for just a few little changes. So these are going to change up just a little bit, but be similar to this. And we have images in 3 different formats. So depending on what messaging you send out, the banner image would be good for possibly heading on your website or the heading on an email. The other 2 could be used for emails as well, could be used for your website as well, but also for social media such as LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or whatever you use if you use social media. So we wanted to provide different formats that will fit into whatever messaging you want to send out. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. And
We have a couple questions when you're ready, Sue.
Okay, ready for questions.
Okay, Amy asks, will this be geared more toward faculty or will it be relevant for staff as well? And will it be faculty and or staff on the panel?
It will be geared toward faculty and staff, and we will have both faculty and staff on the panel.
Great. And Roger asks, will any of the speakers be from Fidelity or will Fidelity be in the background as a sponsor?
Fidelity will be mostly in the background. We are going to have someone from Fidelity introduce the speakers. And Whitney, is there anything else that you wanted to add to that with Fidelity's role?
That's exactly correct. We will have someone that will be introducing the speakers and just making themselves present if you do have questions, but not playing a role in the content overall.
Thank you.
All right. And Kelly asks, it may be easier to leverage Fidelity's contacts to reach pre-retirees. Will they also be working to promote this?
Oh, you know what? I forgot to share my last screen. Let me go back to screen sharing. Goodness gracious, the timeline. Yes, let me go back to that because we do talk about that exactly in that screen. Thank you for asking that question because it reminded me that I have one more slide here. Sorry about that. Okay, so our timeline, and we'll talk about both Fidelity's role, AROHE's role, and our member organization's role here. So tomorrow, November 9th, we're calling that our soft launch, in that we'll have an announcement in tomorrow's AROHE Matters. The website for the initiative will go live. We will have a web page dedicated specifically to this event, and online registration will open. Next week, we'll be distributing our publicity to you. I'm hoping for Monday, but we're waiting for those revised images. So as soon as I get those, we'll be sending out publicity materials to you as our member organizations. We'll include the timeline, the announcement templates, and the images for your use. November, December, we hope that publicity begins. We'll be publicizing to our members as well as non-members. Member organizations, we hope that you can start to publicize it to your retirees and pre-retirees. We recognize that this is holiday season, and in a lot of cases, you may want to wait until early January, but I know that some of you have deadlines for your publications, so we wanted to get things out to you a little bit early. And it may also take some of you some time to get approval from Human Resources to be able to send out to pre-retirees. That's why we're going to get it out to you now. And then Fidelity is going to start publicizing internally to their their institutions which are client members of them. So they'll be sending out information to HR directors and to their publicity contacts to get that word out. And then the week of January 2nd, we expect the publicity will expand at that point after the holidays. So we are asking that you could publicize widely to retirees and if possible to pre-retirees. Fidelity will be sending press releases to media and client institutions and will be helping with social media on LinkedIn because honestly, Fidelity has a bigger reach than AROHE. So we really appreciate their efforts to get the word out to colleges and universities across the US and Canada. And then the January 7th AROHE Matters will be focused on the series. We'll have a few different feature articles about different aspects of the series. And then the weeks of January 8th, 15th, 23rd, and into February as well, publicity would continue. We'll have some targeted publicity for each individual session. So some cases, people may find out about this after the first session. We will be recording each of the sessions and we'll have those links available on our website. So someone could watch the recording, for example, of session 1 and then participate in the later sessions, or session 1 and session 2 and participate just in session 3. Or they can watch the recordings of all the sessions. Any of those are possible. So I will stop sharing now and see if there are more questions.
We have, let's see here. I believe you answered Linda's question about will the sessions be recorded? So that
Yes.
one.
Mm-hmm.
Linda had another question. If promoting on a campus that does not have an RO and uses another retirement company like TIAA or Transamerica, is there anything tactful to say if resistance is met that it is connected to a competitor?
Whitney, I don't know, is that something that you might want to address? I mean, it's,
I will
Yeah.
say that we're not offering financial advice or guidance on the call, and we're not soliciting anybody. We're simply in a partnership, a sponsorship to provide the content. It's the typical practice across competitors as well. TIAA does the same thing in different forms and measures. So if there are questions, I mean, it is very common as far as making sure we're supporting these type of organizations in higher ed. So that would be my response. But Sue, if there's anything else you'd like to add.
yeah, and we have sponsored with TIAA to do other programs in the past, and I do understand that some campuses will be leery, honestly. So I think just making it clear that Fidelity is really a partner, but this is not a financial planning workshop in any way. I know that Dr. Silver mentioned financial planning. It's a very small part of her talk, and it's more just being aware that financial planning is a part of preparing for retirement. But the focus of this series is not at all on financial planning. I hope that answers your questions.
Kimberly asked, can you send out the PowerPoint slides from this session?
Yes, I will be happy to do that.
Okay. And Jerry Lynn is asking, if we are not able to get the message out to pre-retirees, how much of each of the programs will be geared toward those already retired? For those retired, is it more within the current or within a year of retirement that they would be interested?
You know, it is a little bit challenging to come up with content that's going to be relevant for pre-retirees and retirees who may range all the way from 60 to 90 or more years old. But we're going to do our best to have content that will appeal and be relevant for all of those audiences. And I think we'll be able to do it. I mean, we're used to doing programs like that are relevant to related but different audiences. So I think it will be good for all of those constituencies.
Great. Ken asks, will non-members be able to access the recordings of the sessions?
Yes, we are making these available to anybody.
Great. And I think that's it so far.
I just see another one. I just saw this one come up. How long is each session? They're scheduled for an hour and 15 minutes, which will include time for the presentation and Q&A. Anything else? Okay. Well, thank you all for attending today. It will be early next week, probably before I send the follow-up email with the images and the press release templates and the slides from today's event. So I really appreciate everybody's support in advance and help with publicizing this program. And if you do have questions, please email info@arohe.org. Or if you get started with things and you run into some obstacles or some challenges and you need some extra assistance, please be sure to let us know. And we are really looking forward to this program and very excited about it. Thank you all.